This is how to spend 48 hours in Cairo, Egypt. I took a weekend trip to Egypt, and this is everything that I did. I headed to the airport, got on the plane, and landed in Egypt on Friday evening. I was picked up from the airport by my driver. I didn't want to deal with the taxis. I heard there was a lot of scams, so I ended up booking everything through the hotel. Friday was mainly a travel day. I got into the hotel, which was the Four Seasons, and before you're like, how did you afford that? It was honestly not much more than one night in Virginia. Definitely look into it because it's reputable, and booking everything through them made the trip feel so much easier and so much safer. The rest of the evening was getting settled and unpacked, and I grabbed some dinner from one of the hotel restaurants. Again, the US dollar goes really far here, so everything was pretty reasonable food-wise. I planned most of the excursions on Saturday, and so I woke up, caught breakfast in the hotel, met the tour guide in the lobby, and we went to the pyramids. The experience is really something that I can't describe, and I would say you just have to go to know what it means to see the pyramid. One of my priorities was meet, pet, and take pictures with a camel, but I was like, I'm absolutely not riding a camel. Then we went over to the camel rental guys, and our tour guide helped us find one, and before I knew it, I was sitting on the back of a camel. Honestly, it was a little bit scary. It was much taller than any horse I had ever been on, and then my camel tried to like kick me off at the beginning, which was also terrifying. The whole reason I was on the camel is because we decided to go out into the desert to see the pyramids from afar, and let me tell you, the view was absolutely insane. It was worth every minute of that camel ride. Also, the camel rental man was so funny, and he made me do all of these poses and get all of the pictures. 10 out of 10 service. The tour continued, and instead of going by foot, we were back on the camels and we headed over to the Sphinx. Again, just something so cool to see with my own eyes after seeing it in history books for years. We were finally done with the camels, so we parked those and headed by foot over to a newly discovered tomb. Side note, my tour guide was incredible. She knew so much. She has a PhD in Egyptology. She discovered other tombs in other areas of Egypt, and she reads hieroglyphics. This next tomb was one of the few tombs for the daughters and the wives. It had so many beautiful hieroglyphics on the wall. And we even saw a lucky scarab beetle, which she said was super rare. I did freak out at first because I thought it was a spider though. If you notice, there's almost no other tourists around, and that's because I took this trip in May, which is a bit of the off season for the Egyptian pyramids because it does get very hot in the summer. However, it's only about 80 degrees as the high that day, and definitely recommend booking in May because the temperature wasn't so bad. It was a little more affordable and it wasn't crowded at all. On the way back to the hotel from the pyramids, we stopped at a local papyrus shop where the man still made handmade papyrus paper himself. I won't bore you with the details of the evening, but it was back to the hotel, quick shower and refresh, and head to dinner on the Nile. Sunday, I was just planning to pack up my stuff and get ready to leave, but I realized I had more time, so I spontaneously booked my driver again. The destination was the Cave Church, but to get there, you had to drive through something called Garbage City. It definitely was one of the most interesting parts of the trip. I don't have time to get into it, but you can do some research yourself, and also research the graveyard cities while you're at it. The final stop on my Cairo trip was heading to the Hanging Church. This is where they believe the Holy Family took baby Jesus when they were escaping Herod. It was very cool to be at another biblically historical site, and then it was on a little tuk-tuk for the ride home before packing up and